This time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we are grateful for your provision and grateful for the opportunity together. We thank you for the freedoms that you have given to us, and we recognize the terrific sacrifice of so many that have come before us. So I'd ask, Lord, that you bless this time, that you bless this fellowship, and that you help us to get a greater understanding of how much gratitude and how much gratefulness we owe you. It's in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
We thank you for coming, and tonight the first thing on the agenda is expressive presentation. And it's truly an honor to be able to recognize a business that's been in business for 100 years in the town of Tazewell. That's pretty amazing, and I think there's only maybe one other business in town that's had 100 years. And this was actually started in 1917, and by the information we got, it was actually by the daughter. His daughter is here, is Mr. R. Wall, and Mrs. Dorothy Wall is here tonight, representing the family. Also, we have Jim Sam Gillespie and Clinton Bell representing the Farm Bureau. I'm not sure if anybody else is or not. But at this time, got a little quote in here. 1917, first year of business, they did $15,000. The second year, I think it was $40,000. And in this newspaper article, within 18 years, and you got to remember this went through World War I and the Depression and everything. They had accumulated $150,000 in total assets. So that's probably worth $7-8 million today. But at this time, I got a little plaque, and if they will come forward, I'll read it. And something else. Clinton. Yeah. Well, while she's coming, I'll go ahead and start reading, okay? In 1917, Mr. R. Wall, along with several other businessmen and farmers, started the Tazewell Farm Bureau Incorporated with nothing more than their determination to bring farmers to supplies they needed. They began selling out of a boxcar. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. And within several years, they was able to purchase buildings in 4 locations: Tazewell, Richlands, Bluefield, and Chilhowie. Records were kept of their customers, and based on the amount spent, they would receive a refund or by awarded stock in the company. And I think they're still doing that today. They're still doing things 100 years ago like they are now. So you go and get your ticket. Therefore, it is owned and controlled entirely by its customers and members, with the board of directors being elected to oversee the direction of the company that will take, to ensure that the farmer would always have a voice in the business. In recent years, they have been added to a location in Abington. This marks the 100th year anniversary, and they will come a long way from the boxcar that they started in. Whereas the Tazewell Farm Bureau Incorporated has stood the test of time to begin one of the Tazewell's oldest business, whereas the Tazewell Farm Bureau Incorporated continues to grow and supply the farmers in the area and the supplies and the products needed for the growth and development of local farms. Now therefore be it resolved that I, A. Donald Buchanan Jr., Mayor of the Town of Tazewell, with the citizens concurring, do hereby command and congratulate the Tazewell Farm Bureau Incorporated for maintaining and growing their business for 100 years. Best wishes for continuous success in the future. Given on this day. As you see, they actually found a newspaper article in 1936 and has a lot of pictures of their stuff, the directors. But also, in order to honor the Walls, we have a token for them, key to the town of Tazewell. And on behalf of the town of Tazewell, we will present Dorothy Wall as key to the town of Tazewell.
sir.
Y'all want to say something about it?
Very much.
Okay. Okay, y'all.
Thank you. We hope we're gonna be in business a lot longer.
What about you, Jim Sam?
Well, I don't really have anything. Clint and I were looking at this picture, and I have an uncle in the picture. He has a grandfather in the picture, so some of this has been traveled. The management of this company has traveled down through several generations in the same bloodlines.
Okay.
So we're kind of proud of that too.
I noticed there was a lot of moss, and there was probably Bob and Coral's dad. He was the first president. Granddad. Yeah.
Bobby's grandfather.
Yeah, he was the first president. So again, on behalf of the town of Tazewell, we congratulate the
Well, thank you.
Funky.
Thank you.
Ms. Wall, here's
Thank you.
a little thing that was in our packet. And Clinton, if y'all, we can send y'all an email or something for the public in our packet for this. It can be loaded up or something, so
Please send that.
Thank you.
we'll send it to the office. Okay.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, next on the agenda is the farm to table. If you see with too much for the farm to table. Leanne, you go to farm to table?
I think most everybody knows. I'm Leanne Weaver. I'm on the board for the Farm to Table. And what we're requesting, as I'm sure you guys already know, is to close a portion of Main Street and a portion of Marion Avenue where the mini park is, so that we can block it off, barricade it to meet the requirements for our ABC license to serve beer and wine with the dinner. And what I'd like to request is that be standing for each year from here on out.
Yeah, I can.
Can we do that, Vernon?
I don't know. I would think, particularly since you have different councils
Yeah,
that come through every couple of years, I think it would be probably best prudent. I realize you probably don't want to do that, but my thinking thought is that they would probably have to come back each year. Because it's
And
a
I
different
agree.
budget, it's a different issue. And they could probably
It's no state or federal law that says you have to come back. You can get they can vote to make it a blanket, forever, but with all due respect to potential new board members that may come on in the future. However, I would recommend the council consider recognizing the existing board members and alleviating them from having to come back to every meeting. And I also want to add that for the first time, we're going to try and shut down Main Street from the alley right here east. So that would leave everything from the alley west open to everyday traffic. We'll still funnel traffic up the alleyway. That will allow Corey's business, the 7 and any other businesses west to continue to operate. So I think in order to save time and also accommodate our very valuable businesses that are on Main Street, since we're shutting it down, that the council heavily favor the request tonight.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
You have a motion, you have a second. Any questions or additions to that? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And motion carried. Of course, you got this one on the second too.
We almost combined.
Part of 7's ABC license will allow us to serve food and alcohol in an area adjacent to the restaurant. So I'm requesting that we be allowed to do that. Anytime that Main Street is closed, really, this may be another situation where a blanket will not work for that, but at least for the remainder of the year. I know there's several more events planned on Main Street where the whole street's going to be closed. So our ABC license does allow for that. We would just like the portion of the street directly adjacent to the restaurant.
I so move.
Motion and a second, any other? Hearing none, call for a vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. At this time, we have Tazewell today. And we have a young gentleman that's been helping Tazewell today in the town of Tazewell. He's an intern from Virginia Tech, Nathan McClug. And he's been doing some fabulous work for us and Tazewell today. And what I understand is that everybody in his class is envious of all the work he's getting to do for us in Tazewell today. And we appreciate your work. And also, we are actually going to have a motion right now. If we can make him, since he is not a legal voter in the town of Tazewell, we're going to make him an honorary member of the town of Tazewell. If I have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nation, you are now an official member of the town of Tazewell. Thank you. Go ahead, it's your floor.
Awesome.
Alright, I'm gonna keep this brief, but I was actually surprised. I had no idea that was gonna happen. But I thank you so much for the opportunity and for making me an honorary resident. That's incredible. So just a brief introduction about myself. I'm Nathan McClung. I was born and raised in Powhatan, Virginia, a small town right outside of Richmond. I mean, define small town. It's a pretty big county, but to me it's always been a small town growing up. I got my BA in Public Government Affairs with a concentration in Public Policy from Virginia Tech, and I'm actually getting my master's degree right now from Virginia Tech as well. I'm a Hokie, and I stuck around for 2 more years to get a master's degree, and I'll be graduating next May. Some volunteer experience, I founded a nonprofit. You probably heard of it, National Welfare Federation. Not the liquor, it's an actual conservation group. A lot of people have questions about that. And prior work experience in local government, I was an intern for the Housing Program Administration and the City of Alexandria one summer, 2 summers ago. But my major duties and tasks, so like I said, I work for the town of Tazewell and Tazewell today, and it's been easy to do both because the Tazewell Today commission is kind of just correlated with the town's mission as well. So I can do different duties simultaneously as the week goes on. I worked part-time in the fall and spring semester with my graduate assistantship and graduate schoolwork, and I worked full-time this whole summer, and it's been well. I work remotely in Blacksburg and get to travel up here a few times for meetings. So I love the town. I've got the full tour, Birch Garden and everything. My major duties, especially this summer, have been grant research and writing and event planning. And you see the list up there. I have to work with people regionally with ARC, the DHCD, and then all the way up to the federal government to work with the USDA, the EDA, and I've just been trying to build a communication network for Tazewell Today in the town. But a lot of my summer has been grant writing, which can be boring to some people, but for me, it's kind of something I've learned to enjoy over time. It's very technical, it's very dry, but when you see the results, it's really rewarding. So the first thing I get to do in my fall semester last year was a signage project, and you've probably all seen the beautiful signs all around town. This was the first thing that I ever got to do in my life because I was coming out of undergrad. That was almost like theory of practice. So I took a bunch of boring zoning and planning classes in my undergrad about all these ordinances and just signage rules and everything. But it was cool to actually come together with Tazewell Today design a logo. I actually got to take place and design the logo. I didn't do it myself, but I told a graphic designer like what I was envisioning, and they actually produced it. And also we met with the design committee and pinpointed all the intersections throughout town where they should be. But wayfinding signage doesn't seem like a huge deal until you're someone like me coming up from Virginia Tech and pulling off 460 and having nowhere to go. I mean, if I didn't have Google Maps, I would have been lost. I would have never been able to find the main street. But now, hopefully, that's helped, and it's been it was like the first thing we got my feet in the water, and it was the first major project that Tazewell took on after Hill Studio, going to count that as a project as well. The next thing I got to do was make a Tazewell today incorporate strategic plan of like 5 years into the future. But this is a living document, sort of the Constitution, and over time it's been adding more and more to it, and it includes things that are built up from the Hill Studio report and the town's planning code, and also the National Main Street model, which includes the divided committees in design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. Quick note, Hill Studio, this is before I started my internship, but I'm really, really grateful that that was done before I got here, because in terms of grant writing and everything else I've had to do, talking with state employees and federal employees, it's all the information's right there. So it's almost been like a cheat sheet for me throughout my entire internship with Tazewell today in the town. This summer was pretty busy for me in terms of grant writing. Like I said earlier, we did a USDA Rural Business Development Grant, which was for $150,000, and I actually got the letter last week, and I wish I could bring it and show it off, but it actually was declined. And they liked the application, but the lack of matching funds and leverage, and also they called me and said there was a lack of funds and a lot of applications, which they probably tell everyone, but they loved the application and they strongly encouraged us to apply next year. And that was for a Main Street Farmers Market project, which would have went at the mini park, and it wouldn't have been any permanent distortions to that site. It would have been portable elements that could be transported and stored away. The only expansion would have been utilities, and the amount was kind of high, and I think we can adjust for next year. But that was the first grant I got to write, and it was rewarding, and it kind of built. It helped me with experience towards the future, because the next couple of weeks I did Virginia Department DHCD planning grant for $30,000 for the parking garage project on the vacant property on Main Street. Say parking garage / future hotel project, just to be the foundation, which got to be really careful, and it's hard to describe to people since it actually is a physical foundation, but it's private and public interest in that. But we actually got our award, and it hasn't been fully announced yet, but we actually were awarded that planning grant for $30,000, and I hope that we can start managing that and taking on after that. And that includes things, with the environmental and just preliminary architectural reviews and things that you need to apply for construction grants. I also did a USDA TAT grant for up to $150,000, and we'll know about that in September 15th. It's already been submitted. And it covers the same things, the preliminary things before the construction phases of projects. And then also I've been talking to the EDA lately about the assisted coal communities. And it's more of a loan program, less than like a grant, but there's different things, and I'm gonna start talking to them more as well, because that's what falls in that criteria. Within the last 30 years, we've been impacted by the degradation of the coal industry. Also, hometowns in the clinch. I helped Tazewell today. Tazewell did a bunch of stuff before I even got there to be designated a hometown, but actually this year also announcing we will be an official hometown of the clinch under the CRVI, which is the Clinch River Valley Initiative. There's a lot of small things that I do, like branding efforts, and go to attend seminars and other things. And also we did a t-shirt sale, which I thought would be easy, but I quickly learned that doing a t-shirt sale in Tazewell was incredibly hard. But thankfully we sold enough, and I actually have some in the car now. I'm taking them back with me to Blacksburg. So I'll start sporting my t-shirt and showing off the town of Tazewell to other people on campus as well. Another thing I started, this was more of the online marketing duties I performed. I started a community spotlight article through the Tazewell Today website, and I pick a local business, interview them, and I put the article on Facebook and our website. Hopefully it gets shared a bunch by friends and other people. And the reason I went this is we know that small businesses are the lifeblood of Tazewell, and it feels good to support local businesses because you know where your dollars are going when you been at somewhere like Donut Diva or the Wall Coffee Shop or Clinch Miles Furniture. And I want to do something where you could see the person, you could get to know the person behind the counter. So, you know, at Donut Diva, you have Sue Carr, or you have Mike and Venus at the Wall Coffee Shop. You get to know who these people are, and you get to support their business. But we actually got a lot of views, 9,400 on the coffee article, and then we're up more, it's coming soon. But it was another means of helping small business through social media marketing, which is pretty much all the formal marketing is now, besides print, which is slowly becoming obsolete. And Tazewell Day, we do event planning and also project development and implementation, as you all know. And events are important because they bring the community together and foster a community spirit. And it's people from all different backgrounds, different races, different economic classes all together to Main Street just to celebrate being a resident of Tazewell. But I've had the privilege to be on some of these committees and organizing and implementing some of these events, and I look forward to doing more in the future. I mean, you've probably attended most of these. They're family oriented, which is always great. But Tazewell Day and the town, we need projects and events. It's a dualistic approach because projects without people are really just monuments. I was saying that earlier today, but then at the same time, if you don't have people, if you don't have projects, then there's no reason to come to Tazewell. So it's like a ghost town on days when there's not events or certain projects, things that are developing. But there's a lot in store. I'm really optimistic about the grants and the future of Tazewell with the brewery and restaurants and an apartment unit being opened up on the second floor above the coffee shop with mixed-use development. The mixed-use development and events and all these things that we're currently applying for, and especially the hotel project and the parking garage would definitely help with the revitalization of the town of Tazewell, and look forward to continuing my internship until I graduate and passing on the baton to the next person. And hopefully they can also become an honorary resident as well. But I actually joke, but before I started this internship, I had never heard of the town of Tazewell. But now my friends and family would probably wish I'd shut up about it. That's all I talk about. But thank you all. That's all I have, and I'll take any questions from the town council.
You gave us fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and especially somebody coming from a smaller town atmosphere, and being abreast with technology changes that's occurring and different rules and regulations. So we appreciate all the efforts you've done to help us improve our town.
Thank you.
We're not surprised from a home.
You know, council will recall several years ago, one of my goals was economic development, have somebody actually in that position, but the financial issues it's taken over, he has absolutely been a blessing and has stepped up to the plate. And like I said, the award letter, by the way, I've got that in my office. I think I might have forwarded it out to each of y'all, but you know, what an incredible opportunity you've got as a student in college, and bringing that forward to your next job application, which might be down Tazewell, by the way. You know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, but it just seems like everything is just falling into line, you know, especially with the hotel. Originally, we needed parking, and now it's growing, and he's stepping up to the plate. But now you got to manage it, big boy. Trust me, that grant, and you read the outlines, the public hearings, the communication, the documentation. So now is when you really get to step up and call on Irma anytime you need help. I wish you the best of luck. Congratulations, man. I really do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for the opportunity. Honestly, it's been a great experience past year.
Good deal.
Okay.
Before we move on, I got two more recognitions. The baseball and the softball, the Little League, they had 5 teams that went to state, and two of them actually did pretty well, and we want to congratulate them, and maybe at a later time we can have some of them come before council. But also in the midst tonight is actually one of the Employee of the Year in West Virginia Transit System, and it's on our own John Reeves.
All right, John.
The efforts that he does for the town of Tazewell too, and appreciate you, John. Okay, we'll move on. The approval of the minutes. I hear a motion to approve the minutes for the work session and the council meeting for July 11th.
I so move.
Second.
Any additions, corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is the financial report. Again,
During the work session, we discussed just a little bit about there had been a little bit of miscoding, and like I said, that was my fault. Since June hadn't been here, I just coded it to the wrong line item, but I have fixed it. It just won't show up until I print your financials for the August meeting. But everything should be in good order and correct for the next time. I apologize for that.
thank you. We approve for the financial statements. Do I hear a motion to approve financials as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or additions to that? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the town manager projects.
I don't have any this time, Mayor.
Okay. Since planning commission is Councilman Murray is out sick tonight. I'm not sure if
We've got the home occupation coming up later, so I'll talk a little bit about that.
okay. Next on the agenda is the train depot committee. Vice Mayor Rollins.
Well, this is the update I've been wanting to make for a long time. The required authorization has been secured, and the Tazewell train station at North Tazewell project can now be advertised for bids. In fact, that notification was received July 19, 2017. Sealed bids were received by the town of Tazewell, or will be received now by the town of Tazewell by Todd Day, our manager, on or before 2 p.m. on August 29th. This advertisement first appeared in the newspaper this most recent Sunday. The train station committee is going to be very excited, I'm sure, to hear this news. They've already been notified by email, and we hope to have a meeting with the train station committee soon to discuss the exhibits and artifacts that will become part of the station, which will serve as a tourism center for Tazewell County, Tazewell site, and also include a community meeting room where groups can actually gather. We are truly on the right track now. Thank you.
Well, that's been a long time coming.
It has been.
We're getting closer. Okay, next on the agenda is the EMS update discussion.
I just wanted to update you on what's going on with our rescue squad. First off, we were approved for a $151,000 for a new ambulance and 2 new computers last month. Billing's moving right along, everything's going smoothly. All of our repairs are up to date and paying well. We cut back to 1 truck. So far, we've been doing good with 1 truck. Wanted to keep you updated on numbers. There's been 15 calls for the month of July that we've had to roll to private agencies that were covered, but still the cost of that running the second truck is not going to outweigh, those 15 calls. So just to update you on that.
When's the new truck? When will the new squad
I think we're going to vote on that tomorrow.
Well, actually, I've got a line item in the budget, but it's a little under budget. What I'd like to do is request cancel to wait on an email from me so I can identify a line item. I'm about $20,000 short. Actually, we just moved a little slow on it, but what I'd like to do is obviously encourage cancel, take advantage of a $150,000 vehicle for $30,000. I think that's a smart move. But I'll email you and let you know where the other 20,000 is gonna come from. I had several line items to pull from. I apologize, I was not prepared tonight to do
So you
that.
have a time frame for the grant.
I think, what is it?
September 1st, we have our memorandum of agreement turned in.
Yeah, so we got a couple weeks.
Yeah. I'm supposed to meet with him tomorrow and see how.
Okay.
what we get on that. Also, we talked about the transport division in previous meetings. I've done a lot of research that, and I include a lot of numbers in your packet. I don't know if you had a chance to look over that. I've been talking with Kim Brown at the ER. She's the manager of the ER and med surg over at Tazewell Community Hospital. And she's all excited about it. She wants to help us in the way we can. She said she would give us all discharges going home, let us take those home, the ones we bring in, plus other agencies bringing in. She'd like to see, everything stay in the community. And sometimes they have to wait 1 to 2 hours for an ambulance to come and take somebody home, and she'd like to have the opportunity to have somebody, right next door to come in and help with that. They've got a lot of local transfers we could actually take as well, which would be profitable for the rescue squad. The grant would help if we could vote to take the grant and get a new truck. We could use our old truck, the Black Dodge, for a transport service. It's out of a 5-year window. We have to use it for emergency 911. And we'd probably have to purchase, as far as cost, we'd probably have to purchase 1 more unit to have a backup. So we'd have two trucks, to continue to do the transports. It looks profitable to me. I've included the numbers, and these are only numbers of patients we actually take in, stretcher patients to the ER. That wouldn't include anything else they could give us or any transfers to local hospitals. I've already checked with the state, our state representative. He said that we wouldn't have any issues with our license. We would still operate under contact with EMS and just have a division, so we wouldn't have to change anything there as far as our billing or our state license. So that's a good thing. That would save us a lot of time. It wouldn't be that hold up with the billing issue.
How's the billing going now? How's the billing right now?
It's good. We were right at 50,000 this month or last month, but that's not just for the month. That's accrued over several months. But we're doing good right now. Money's coming in steady. I really recommend going forward with the transport service. Our cost would be, I put in your packet, if we rent a 16-hour truck to do transports or a 24, I really wouldn't think we'd need a second 24-hour truck to do discharges from the hospital. Maybe a 16-hour, all that costs there, if y'all would look over that, and I really recommend it. I think it would be a good thing.
The thing about the transport division, and we've talked about this before, the public perception of that is what she's talking about, and I think we can protect that ending. But the thing about the transport division is kind of like a new restaurant. It takes time. We'll pick up cases off the bat, but it just takes time to grow it. But obviously, it is a program that a lot of rescue squads are surviving off of today. So I would encourage council to favorably consider Cindy moving forward with looking into that and actually enacting that program.
I think we did that last meeting, when we had the rescue, fire, and police.
We talked about it.
We talked about it, and I said, let's go with it. I think it looks good. Even Jack decided, he said, same thing. Everything looks good, let's do it.
Just need council's approval to move forward with that, and we'll keep you updated. And needless to say, if it looks like it's skating backwards on ice, we'll let you know. We'll pull out.
I'll make the
So
motion.
you just want approval to continue checking into it?
Well, checking into it and actually implementing it.
He wasn't there at the last meeting. It was just that we decided to do that the year, right?
Right.
So I'll make the motion to go ahead with your issue there.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion for rescue squad going toward the transport. All right. Any other second? Any other discussion on it?
Dr. Kathy, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Just to clarify, I think it was a little bit of hesitation. The EMS committee did recommend to move forward with implementing the transport division. Once again, if it looks like it's not materializing, with the understanding, and I want to be clear, that it takes time for that to build. It's not going to happen in a year. It takes time for that to build and be maximized. But if it gets to the point where it does not look like it is in the best interest of the community, obviously we'll step up and let you know and retract that.
I would definitely want to keep a close monitor on it, make sure, if we need to cut back here, and keep you updated each month on it.
I call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried.
Good deal.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Community dumpsters.
Mayor, being that I was out during the work session representing the town at the Board of Supervisors, I'd like to request that Robin read you whatever the recommendation was that came from the town council and implement that.
From the discussion that was held, from what I can understand, is that they're going to open up the recycling center, the dumpsters up there, that you'd be able to dump up there as long as you had a town decal or a county decal during those hours that the recycling center is open.
And
Home
waste,
home garbage,
furniture.
not furniture or tires or
Yeah,
things like that.
Structure, anything like it from homes or trees, brush.
Yeah, those need to be taken to the landfill.
And I'll make that motion.
Okay, got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Which one will you got first?
Second. It was.
Jennifer, you said, I said, which one said first? Okay. All right.
She's second from the left.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the cable franchise, and
I'd like to ask a couple of questions if I can. When we're discussing the difference between the basic and expanded cable that you're removing from the school systems, what exactly does that involve? What are we losing?
Well, let me first kind of address that, and if you like, I have a channel lineup card here with you so you can see specifically what we're talking about. That might be the easiest. As we were talking about earlier, we are analog currently, and so anything that's below channel 64 on down is analog. That is what they are getting right now. And until we go all digital, they will continue to get that. Whether we say basic or expanded basic, whatever, until we go all digital. At the time we go all digital, then they will get what's listed at the very big top under Spectrum Basic. So it'll be starting with channel 3, going through what's listed as 791. So that's what they would be getting post going all digital.
So I would think that, so according to this, the history channel will be eliminated from the school system.
Correct.
Seems like that might be one that might be.
yeah, didn't let you need PBC
Yeah.
on the shopping network for schools.
Now, let me, Charter kind of, well, not kind of, Charter inherited the franchise that we got and the agreement that we got from our predecessors, Adelphia, Time Warner, and so on. Charter is in their company position, is that they give basic only to the franchise holders we have. This is across the country. This is what's down in Bristol. This is what's in Buchanan County. This is what's in across North Carolina, Charlotte, Raleigh. It's in New York City. It's in the other locations we have. This is the policy that Charter has, is that going forward, we give basic only. The intent of giving accounts generally to municipalities and schools is to provide information and other information for the safety and welfare of the town, for the schools, and so on. By providing basic, that does that, and it really does make sure that in case there's weather, in case there's news, if there's national disasters, if there's ongoing services or ongoing issues, that can be addressed. And we will continue to live up to that. But it's not necessarily intended for an entertainment value of what the majority of what expanded basic is. So the position is, and don't want to take a hard line on it, but we're going to hold the line on basic only.
Well, okay, that brings me to my next question.
Sure.
You're asking for a 10-year contract.
Renewal, correct.
Renewal. What would be wrong with us giving you a 1-year renewal to see if some of these issues that have been brought up here this evening could be worked upon, and then we could discuss at that point?
When you look at the Cable Act and what we're talking about, let me back up a step. I don't want to go quite there yet. We have, in preparing for this evening, I wanted to look to see how much we've invested in the cable plant. I've talked to you already a little bit about some of the plans that we're going to be doing. I'll be happy to cover that again. But in the town of Tazewell, we have already invested almost $750,000 in our cable infrastructure here.
Since when?
Over the life of, that's the tax value that we have, that we pay property tax on. It's $750,000. And I got that from our accounting folks.
Doesn't mean it's not antiquated. That could have been over the last 40 years.
Right.
The system is not antiquated. The system is a 750 megahertz fiber hybrid coax system that we discussed earlier. We have significant amount of fiber out there going to the fiber plus the two amplifiers, fiber to the node plus 2, which we've talked about. That is a significant amount of fiber optic systems out there. By being the two-way system, by having 100 by 10 speeds for internet, this is a good quality service.
Laurie, I was going to speak of that. I have your 100 by 10 at my office. And very rarely do I have 100 by 10.
Has anybody come out to check?
I think y'all have been out numerous times. And I mean, I very rarely, I'm filing claims and stuff online all the time, and it's very rarely do I have 100 by 10. And I have your 30 by 5 at the house, and don't have that very often either.
And our resident who spoke to you about the major networks being out intermittently, that's not just at her house. That's all over town.
And I understand that if the network goes off to our system, it's going to be across the board. Everybody.
I understand that.
Okay.
ABC out of Oak Hill is your ABC station on this cable system. It is a HD, it broadcasts in HD to every other community. Because you have bad equipment that you've not updated, your technician told me 3 years ago they needed to update the equipment at the hub, and then we would get HD on ABC. I asked you about that a month ago, and I checked it as recently as today, and it's still not high definition on ABC.
On which channel? Did you look at the 700 channel?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you go to 710, you have to wait a half an hour for it to change because it goes back to analog, even though it's at 710.
All I can tell you is that when I checked with our engineering staff, because I specifically asked about that one because of your question, they told me that was because of the broadcast station. Our equipment, if we receive it, it broadcasts. We send it. It's not our equipment.
will Dish and Digital get HD for the same television station?
All I can tell you is what I've been told.
Well, all I can tell you is what the service is we get.
Okay?
Any other questions?
Mike, it was supposed to be, what about the possibility, I mean, granted, Charter's asking for a 10-year renewal. Under my reading, again, you know more about this than I do, you know, I'm the one that's got the JD behind my name, but it doesn't matter that I haven't read this cable act over there, as I'm sure you probably have. I could not find anything in the cable act that requires any type of time limit or a period of time mandatory service. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. State code provides for that you have to have a franchise agreement for anything 5 years and above. And you can't go any farther out than 40 years. But there's no specific requirement that a franchise be set for 10, 5, 2, 18. I realize it's a matter of math and finances and a matter of investment. The company wants to, if it's going to put money in there, they want to be able to get an ROI. They've got investors. But is there anything that you're aware of, I know you mentioned that about the Cable Act, that you're aware of personally that specifically states that a franchise, if it's going to be awarded a franchising authority like the town, has to give that for a minimum of 5 years or a minimum of 10 years?
I am not aware of that. I think you are correct. There is not a specific number listed in the Cable Act. But in the Cable Act, the intent was, and I think you addressed this a little bit earlier, that when a cable company comes in and makes a significant investment, $750,000 in a town, we anticipate the ability to have a continuing, ongoing business. We need, for us to continue to do the investments, to go all digital, to do other upgrades of boxes and so on. We do need to have the ability to be going forward more than just looking forward more than just 1 year out. This is why we think 10 years is the standard. Many of them go 15 or more years out. We're looking just to kind of renew what we had. It seemed to have been working in the past, and so that's why we wanted to move forward. The couple of changes we made in here are really just kind of cleaning up some of the names. We talked about expanded basic and so on. Yes, sir. Oh, I thought you had a question. I'm sorry. No. Okay. So we do.
I've got another question, Mike.
Sure, please.
And only if you know, right, this is a more technical question. With regard to, you said you got $750,000 of basically investment or taxable assets within the community. When was the last time that you know of that, and it's going to have to either come from Adelphia or Time Warner, that they upgraded their equipment to any significant degree over the life of their franchise, if you know?
I don't have a specific year to sit here and quote, but in talking with our folks, because after that last meeting, I spent a lot of time researching, trying to make sure that I'm up to speed for this evening's meeting. They have been doing a significant amount of work out here, making sure the technical standards are up to speed. We've been going through with more maintenance work, to be preventive maintenance, to eliminate problems. We've modified and changed the configuration of the bandwidth structure, and that's part of the partial digital that we went through to create more. When you got the 750 megahertz in the bandwidth, you compartmentalize those for video, a portion of it's for internet, a portion of it's for phone and so on. We've had to do some rejuggling and putting in new equipment to handle and processing all that for the high-speed data and for the digital channels. So we've been doing ongoing upgrades to come in and say, when's the last time we replaced all the lines? We replace lines as needed. Cable, coax, and fiber, they last a long time. But if they go bad, then we replace them. You'll probably see some guys out there from time to time tearing lines down, putting lines up. That's because we found that it's not matching up and not delivering the signal quality the way it needs to. So they go out and replace those lines. That's an upgrade.
All right, well then I guess phrase it a different way then. Let's go back to your hub in terms of you've got an analog signal that the FCC is now you agree to.
Okay, we're talking the head end. The
All right.
proper term is head end.
Head end. When was the last time that head end was upgraded? I'm asking from a common sense layperson. I know how to talk this stuff, but I'm just curious. If you're saying that you have an analog signal that is not picking up or it's problems at the source from like ABC, if that is the case,
that equipment, if it fails, we replace it. I mean, it's not that we have to go out there. We have people there every day checking this, making sure the signal levels are right, making sure that everything is performing properly. We have head-end technicians that's their job, is to make sure that those channels are going out through the system properly, make sure the levels are set right, the audio levels are right there. And if the equipment goes bad, we replace it. There is not an upgrade to be done to that equipment.
that's why I'm just asking this in general.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to chime in just for a minute if I could. You know, the fact of the matter is, Dr. Mullins mentioned an example that he experiences. You know, we continuously at Town Hall get phone calls about Time Warner. Matter of fact, we at Town Hall dropped Time Warner 2 years ago because of a heavily inaccurate and undependable service. Terrible. So we got rid of it. And we use BVU. We have Sunset. It's in the horizon. Dr. Catcher mentioned the example. I also had Time Warner internet at my house, and I don't know how many times it freezes up. Those are facts. They're not, we're not dreaming up something. They are absolutely facts that these citizens step up. So I would heavily encourage council to not consider 10 years. Actually reduce it down to 5 or less. And keep in mind, our method of documentation has historically left a little bit to be desired. But as Mr. Pike has said in the past, documentation next time when the franchise does come up will heavily value if we do have to proceed to a higher level, which may be court. But keep in mind, Sunset and other entities are on your horizon very, very, very close. $750,000. I did $750,000 in paving, if you'll recall, 2 years ago. And I'll assure you that 10 years from now, I'll be doing it again. $750,000 spent over a 20-year lifespan is not significant. It's not. So once again, I would encourage council to consider 5 years or less on that franchise, and we will absolutely be prepared to do due diligence when that franchise is up next time.
Let me ask you a question then, Brad. You mentioned about the state.
Yes.
If you go less than 5,
You don't have to have a franchise for less than 5. That's what the state set up. And the Cable Act doesn't say one way or the other. But I know with regard to the state that just says if you're going to have offer a franchise, you got to go with an RFP in terms of letting it be known to the public you're offering a franchise. Somebody's made a request for a franchise. It's for more than 5 years. You can't go beyond 40, and you've got to get the proper advertising notice to anyone else who come in and bid, that sort of thing. So when we put that out the last time, since this is a renewal, it's a little bit different under the Cable Act versus under what we have under state code. If you're asking for a new franchise, you got to go through a little bit different tweak in terms of the number of times you got to advertise it publicly for offering a franchise for the first time. But since this was a renewal, it's a little bit less. So it's 10 days, which we did well beyond that for the purpose of having a public hearing tonight. There are a couple of other nuances, and I sort of touched on those when I was talking generally during the public comment section about how you renew the Cable Act specifically. It doesn't mandate, it says may within the first 36 months prior to expiration, there can be a request from the cable company or the franchising authority to do a review period, to go through a public process 4 months prior to the time of actually having a renewal. You can do that. None of that happened here. But it doesn't give it a death knell because you didn't do it either. So that's just one of the things that we can, next time the council could definitely consider that under the Cable Act. And as Todd mentioned, There can be other steps you can take prior to an actual renewal term, or for a term, whatever renewal or first time expiring. There are certain steps you can take in order to have more public input and have some more documentation.
Since we're having problems with the cable system constantly and the internet, what can we just do a year contract and see how we get this stuff going?
I'm not saying you can't. Legally, you can do that. I don't know, again, of course, the cable company has the right, as all well, to reject that and say, we've got a renewal, we're entitled to have our renewal under certain terms. If that was the case, if they treated that as a rejection, I really don't know the answer to that, Mike and I don't. It's one where if you change the term, where we're going to change the conditions, to reduce the term, whether or not they rejected that or not, that's going to be up to them. They requested 10, so if you gave 9, they can treat that as rejection, I guess. I don't know. But there is an administrative process that they have to go through within 120 days after that, their determination of a rejection or refusal of the franchise, of then having an administrative hearing before a hearing officer or by this council. And there's a criteria that they've got to go through in order to go through that process. And then if there's an acceptance or they modify their conditions or meet those to where both parties are satisfied, and then there's a renewal, the process ends. If not, and there's still a rejection after that hearing process, then they have the right within another 120 days to basically go to federal court. They do. They being chartered. So that's how the process would work. So to answer your question, Dave, there's nothing I can tell you to say yes or no. You could say we'll do it for 1 year, 5 years, 8 years, or the 10, or whatever combination that you all want to have to do. But there's nothing that the Cable Act mandates. So that's what your council, you all have to decide.
Also want to remind council that Sunset investment is how much, Mayor? I think it was $50 million.
In Southwest. Yeah, actually 4 counties.
Just need a motion.
And he had, by looking at his, part of his email, they had to make a commitment to the FCC to bring all systems digital by 2019, which is 2 years.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we remove for 3, and that would give you all plenty of time to complete that, and then we can see what type of equipment and infrastructure improvements being made over that period of time.
2007.
Okay, that's the motion.
Y'all got to wait, yeah. You said the fire would be ready.
Hold on a minute, Dave. Once you've got a motion on the floor, if somebody seconds, then you can have any other discussion after.
Oh, I didn't hear the motion, man.
Yeah, you had a motion.
Okay, I have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, now Dave.
By 2018, right, you'll have all this fiber. 19? That'll take to 2 years, okay. So you're going 3 years.
Give them time.
Any other discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
If I hear that then correctly, then it was to approve the amendments along with the 3-year term.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
We will, the next one on the list, we'll table that.
As we spoke a little bit earlier, of course, I wish that Councilman Murray was here, but of course he wasn't at the Planning Commission meeting last night either. But as you all may recall, there was a lot of discussion about referring back to the Planning Commission a home occupation ordinance, sort of well, at least an amendment to it. As you all may recall, home occupation is allowable, and that's basically as you see from the definition, I think you may have in your packet. It's allowable in zones R2 and below. When I say below is a bad thing. It's R2, R3, B1, B2, anything below that. It is not allowable in R1. It was presented to the Planning Commission to research as to what and whether or not home occupation should be allowed, to amend the existing zoning ordinance to allow it in an R1. So what you have before you is a draft that I have prepared to the Planning Commission and that they actually took up last night. As you will see there, it is an amendment to our existing zoning, which is under chapter 23, I believe, to allow for R1 home occupation use as an allowable use for home occupation. And then the real meat of what you have before you is then the definitional change in zoning for home occupation is a 15-point definitional change for home occupation, which you should have, hopefully have before you. And that is what Planning Commission has recommended that council consider for passage for an ordinance. And in doing so, if the council is inclined then to move along with that, I would recommend that you have a public hearing for that purpose, since it is a zoning amendment. It's not one that requires a specific, under our code, or public hearing, but it is one, since you're doing a zoning change, it's going to affect all the residents within an R1 zone. I think it's a prudent thing to do in having a public hearing on that to alert the public to that change. It doesn't increase any taxes. It doesn't do anything any different that home occupation had already in place, but you're changing the zoning to which that is applicable. And that's what that's what Planning Commission asked for me to be able to bring to you all tonight since Jack is not here. So do you have any questions about that?
One thing I want to add to it in your packet, of course you've got it in front of you. The first page in your packet is just a definition page. The only thing that exists in our present code book is what's on page 2, which is very short, very vague, and it leaves a lot of areas to be heavily criticized. And for the record, home occupation has always been an issue that's been brought to my attention from day one. And local government wheels turn slow. They turned off the slow fiscal. So I apologize for taking 4 years to get around to it. But what this basically is doing now is allowing individuals to run home-based businesses with some criteria. And once again, I used this example before, R1, it's presently not allowed. This is giving the flexibility for it to be allowed in R1, R2, and R3 with some very understandable guidelines. And, just for an example of that, regardless of where you're at, a home occupational permit, we promote them, we encourage them. It's a method, it's a way of an individual to get started or maybe permanently stay there to make the American dream come true. And we're all for that. But we still don't want the guy next door running a home occupational permit that's working on Briggs and Stratton Motors. All right, nobody wants to hear that buzzing in the middle of a community. So this kind of sets guidelines. The home occupational permit will be treated no different than any other business that's on Main Street or anywhere else in town. They'll apply for a license. They'll get a business license. They may have to pay taxes. It depends on how much they make. There's a very reasonable limit there, which is $13,000. If they're not above that area, if they're below that, you don't have to pay taxes. It all falls into that $20. There's still a there's still a fee, a $20 annual fee, I think, Leanne, is that correct, for a business license? So
Minimum fee.
In minimum fee, so it equates to that $13,000 fee mathematically, long story short. So
Is this going to affect people who have like a yard sale?
No, once again, that limit kind of restricts that.
Yeah, but if they have one every weekend, then.
Well, we have another section.
Huh?
You have an ordinance that deals with yard sales.
We have another section.
It'll be totally.
That's totally separate.
Okay.
We have another section that addresses that. But this, once again, it just gives some clarity. It answers a lot of questions that a lot of communities have brought, a lot of citizens have brought up, a lot of businesses that we have in town that are in B districts. have made some comments, and this is just addressed it. So it adds clarity, it adds reason, it adds equalization.
Okay, is there a motion to go to the public hearing for the home occupation ordinance?
I'll make that motion, public hearing.
I have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? None, call for a vote, all in favor say aye. Set next, council meeting, 7:15 or 7?
We'll let you know via, but we'll set it right now for 7:15.
Okay,
May change, but we'll let you know.
all right. Next on the agenda is the Route 61 Bridge Resolution, and you want me to read it?
You can have it.
All right, this is a resolution for the town council. Now, it's going to endorse the replacement of bridge with federal ID 22547 and Virginia ID of 1805 on Route 61 East Riverside Drive for the Clinch River project. Whereas in accordance with the Commonwealth Transportation Board construction allocation procedures, it's necessary that a resolution be received by a sponsoring local jurisdiction or agency requesting Virginia Department of Transportation to establish a project in the town of Tazewell. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Tazewell requests that the Commonwealth Transportation Board to establish a project for the replacement bridge with federal ID 22547 Route 61 East Riverside Drive over Clinch River project. Be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell hereby agrees to provide its share of the total cost of preliminary engineering right-of-way and construction of this project in accordance with the project financial documents. Be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell hereby agrees to enter into a project administration agreement with VDOT and provide the necessary oversight to ensure that the project is developed in accordance with all applicable federal and state and local requirements for design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction of project. Be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell be responsible for the maintenance and operating costs of the facility constructed unless the agreements have been made with VDOT. Be it further resolved that if the town of Tazewell elects to cancel the project and town of Tazewell hereby agrees to reimburse VDOT for the total amount of the costs expended by VDOT through the date VDOT is notified of such cancellation, the town of Tazewell also agrees to repay any funds previously reimbursed that are later deemed ineligible for federal highway administration or VDOT. One second. Be it further resolved that the town of Tazewell hereby grants authority to the town manager to apply to the funds for execute project administrative agreements as well as necessary documents necessary for approved projects adopted on this date. Do I hear a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
By the way, it's 100% funded.
Thanks for Robin.
Absolutely.
Okay, next on the agenda is the planning commission vacancy.
Mayor, I'd like to request, she's got another, she got to December.
Okay.
Not moving out to December, so I would like to put that on record as an individual that's interested, and if council has any other recommendations, it will come up in the future, but Ms. McDaniel will not be leaving town until December.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Next is the Twin Depot Scenic discussion, trail discussion.
All right, I'm gonna say several years ago, and Dr. Mullins, you correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been a little longer, or maybe not quite 2 years ago, but I had a request from Dr. Mullins, who may have had discussions previously with other officials across maybe Giles or in other areas, but we have a route that runs from our train station all the way to a train station in Narrows, and it's Route 61. Ironically, the two train stations are duplicates of each other. The train station that's now in Narrows is still being utilized by the railroad. Ours, obviously, will be under construction before long. But that route, Robin and I attended a meeting last week in Bland County with Bland County Administrator Eric Workman. Also Susan Kidd, I think she's assistant town manager in there. Is that correct, Dr. Mark? Acting, okay. Also Miss Cora Gendry, Megan Brown, David Woodard. And so you had Giles County, you had Bland, Tazewell, and Narrows, and obviously the town of Tazewell. But that route is a very, very scenic route. And, you know, in order to attract people to this area in that stretch, we came up with a name, thanks to Dr. Mullins in working with us. But we would like to have council's support to write a resolution this week. And I'll forward it out to each one of y'all. And that resolution will be sent to our dignitaries, both on the Senate and the House side, to adopt and hopefully get the route named this upcoming legislation. And obviously we'll take care of signage here. David Woodard, take care of signage out in the county, and each locality will address it. And become another route, another way for us to bring in economy, and people need it to front porch and the 7 and the well and everything else that we've got going on Main Street. So I just need a recommendation. A vote for council.
I would like to make that motion. I so move.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it?
Tazewell is the hub for the back of the dragon, and if West Virginia goes forward with the head of the dragon, we're another hub. And now the Twin Depots brings us the hub to the New River Valley, so I think it's
And I forgot to
part of the
mention,
master plan.
forgot to mention that, and Dr. Mullins is correct, but the name of it will officially be Twin Depots Scenic Trail.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment.
Need a paper down there.
Okay. It's Norma Mack. She's still here. Betty Wallace.
Hello, Ms. Wallace.
Yeah. My name is Betty Wallace, 708 West Riverside Drive, North Tazewell, Virginia. And my concern today is, I need to get my phone because I do have pictures of what I wanted to show council today. We've been asking for paving of the street up on Fudge Street. The road is actually buckling up there, and it's terrible. You can't turn around. And our concern is that we have property up there. Also on Hearst Continuous, I've been before council on several occasions requesting that that street also be resurfaced. We have potholes, and that's where the street that we take to come down our driveway. There's a piece of property at the end of Hearst Continuous dead ends. There's a piece of property there. I've also been before council on several occasions to see if we could get that piece of land cleared. It appears that somebody's dumping, maybe the neighbors, I'm not sure if it's the people that live behind us, or if somebody's coming, but there's big pieces of wood and all types of stuff there. But if you move the picture to the, I guess it would be the, if you move it too far, you're gonna see my beautiful daughter, so you don't want to move it. It's 4 pictures of the street. And it's really in really bad condition. And also there's the house next door to my property at 105 Foot Street. The owner is not keeping the property up. The grass right now is probably 6 feet, I don't know, knee high. And we'd like to see someone come out and or contact him. That would be actually my cousin, Robert Viney. But
Most of the pictures are on Fudge Street or Hurst Street?
those are the pictures on Fudge Street. I don't have pictures of Hurst Street.
Mayor, what we'll do is we'll take a look at that. Actually, I've got a number of streets that unfortunately we didn't get to this year in paving. We actually just got through drag boxing up in Bosco because we couldn't pave it. And I know the Tower Street down here has been on the list for several years. We still haven't finished it, but we will absolutely look at the two.
Well, Hurst continues. It's been on the list for several years. Now, Fudge Street, we just realized what was happening up there. But Fudge Street is a whole lot worse than Hurst Street.
Okay.
So if you could send someone up there, and I think, I've been told that somebody's been up there to look at that several times. That piece of property at the end of Hurst continuous where it ends, the owner, the person that owned the, owned our property, when we purchased the home from him, he gave us pictures of that property where they had, the people behind them, the people behind us was claiming that property, and he came before town council and had them come and cut a road through there. And so therefore, we are able to come across there and we won't have to back out into the road to get out of our driveway. We can come down the driveway. We've had it paved all the way up to the road. And right now, the water is running off of that bad portion of the road, and eventually it's going to wash our driveway out. So we are really concerned about that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wallace. So no one else listed on there. Mr. Thomas, did you want to speak or not?
I don't know if you want to hear. I just want to know, are you going to do anything to Main Street? The houses are flooding.
Yeah, I want to let council know. I want to let council know that they've been to me a number of times, and I know that it goes back for years and years and years. They've been having this problem well before I ever came to the town. And it is an area just like on Cottage Hill, other areas that we've been working on culverts, and y'all know we've replaced oodles of them, and we do have a project there to do. We absolutely do have a project right there to take on, and we'll do everything we can to get it done. And I know it sounds like an excuse, but you're not the only one that we're
You've
getting
got two elderly gentlemen down there that has a real problem on this end, away from my house.
And we'll stop by, we'll communicate with them also.
I mean, just digging out the end of the pipe down there on West Fincastle would help a great deal on that end. I mean, it's just a hole.
We'll take a look at it. We absolutely will. I appreciate your patience. I know you'll be in.
Okay. Before we adjourn, just remind a couple of events going on next August 15th. Senator Mark Warner will be in town. I think it's 11:45. Is that correct? 11 o'clock at the American Legion building. And so please come by and visit, and hopefully he brings us some good news. Also on the 22nd, is that right? The 21st? I know.
What,
the eclipse, one day, 21st, okay. So you got 10 o'clock or what time was it?
Have they set a time yet?
I don't know what the time is we're supposed to be.
It's actually 2:30, something around
Yeah,
2:30.
but it was in the morning, 10 o'clock or so, that it closed down Main Street for about, put that on the calendar, and then, of course, we have another cruise in on the 19th of August. Also want to commend the, great work that the Public Works and the Police Department and all the employees of the town of Tazewell did for the Main Street Moments and the fair. I know that was very tiring and the outstanding job. I know it was good.
I was just going to thank the town for helping us with Main Street. It was quite a success. I mean, it was good. We had Nancy Brooks kind of worked on Craig, Susan Reeves and Kim Repass worked on the kids. Harry David here at the town worked on the food, and Andy Necessary helped with the music, and it was a great day. The only complaint that I had was it was too hot, and it was hot. There's not a lot we could do about that, but the town, I mean, you can have something and like 30 minutes later, it doesn't look like anybody's been there.
Yes.
So the town work was absolutely wonderful, so thank you so much.
Well, Down is doing a good job, that's all I have to say. But the corner of Fincastle and Tazewell Avenue at, what's his name?
Dennis Robinson.
Dennis Robinson. That wall underneath the sidewalk is coming on out. I mean, it's falling out to his yard and stuff, and that needs to be looked at. Because it's been like over a year, it's getting bigger.
Okay, if nothing else, for council?
I got one more thing.
Okay.
I've got a request from Mr. Murray, who's not here, but we have the crosswalks on Main Street, and we put the little signs in the middle of the road. And from time to time, I get a phone call because people will go to miss the sign, and there's cars parked on the side that are not against the curb, and it's a little tight. But does council have any objection to move them, or would you rather keep them?
What, to keep putting them out?
Or leave them? They're out now.
Right, I mean, are you saying not leave them out?
I'm just saying, do you have a concern, any of you have a concern with them at all?
You know, here at the Presbyterian Church, you have the one on the side. Can we do that on Main Street, put them on the
That's
side?
where they parked there too.
Instead of in the middle of the highway?
What do you mean on the side?
It says cross, no, it doesn't, it's not visible, it says crosswalk. You put it on both sidewalks. The standing sign. You've got one here at the Presbyterian Church with a crosswalk.
Okay.
I'm
not sure if I'm following it. I'm talking about the one in the middle with the yellow line.
Oh, I'm talking
Instead of.
instead.
You don't have anybody parking on either side of that curb.
The sign, I can do that, Dr. The signs I'm referring to are the ones that are on the yellow lines.
I'm just saying, as a substitute, if you wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah, okay. Sure. It just wouldn't, the traffic wouldn't see it.
Wouldn't be as visible, that's correct.
Of course, as being a business owner, they're on Main Street, people come and go all the time. I, for one, don't mind them. I like them being there because I think it's one, forces people to know that the crosswalks are there, and two, they slow down because yes, it is a little bit tight.
And that's
but you can get through there, no problem, if you drive at a decent speed at 25 or slower, which is what the speed limit is on Main Street.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Okay, I just want to check.
And that's just me, and again, I'm speaking on behalf of someone who has an office right there on Main.
Right, I think we're going to stop the little sign there across from the bank and our son's flower shop. And that's used quite regularly for the schools, the little kids going back and forth across.
There's a bus stop there.
There's a bus stop too, and I think it's perfect to leave that there at least.
Okay, I'll just leave them. I just want to see if council had any comments.
I mean, they're, sometimes they might be too close to the exits or whatever, you can move them down a little bit like that.
They've even been hit a time or two, but they spring back up.
They're bouncing around.
You know, really the only time I've seen that habit is when people think they can just get out of the car and open the door and everybody has to swerve right or left. That's not, I've seen it done. Okay, anything else? Not, we'll adjourn to whenever. Next month.